Jake Morrison stood at the large window of Aegis Prime space station. He watched the stars shine against the black sky. The station moved slowly around Earth, like a metal moon protecting the blue planet below. Jake had been the commander here for 3 years. He never thought this day would come. The alarm started ringing. Red lights flashed everywhere. Jake ran to the control room. His team was already there, looking at their screens with worried faces. "What do we have?" Jake asked. "Sir, we are getting signals from the edge of our solar system," said his officer. "Something big is coming." Jake looked at the main screen. It showed space near Pluto. There were lights moving toward them. But these were not normal lights. They were huge ships, bigger than anything humans had ever built. On Earth, Director Lisa Carter sat in her office deep under the mountains. She had been waiting for this moment for 20 years. The Global Defense Initiative was her life's work. She knew that someday aliens would find Earth. She just hoped they would be ready. Her phone rang. It was Jake from the space station. "Director Carter, we have contact," Jake said. "Multiple ships, very large. They will be here in 2 days." Lisa closed her eyes. "Thank you, Jake. Start Emergency Protocol 7. In space, Captain Ryan Brooks flew his ship Aurora toward the alien fleet. He was scared, but he had to see what they were dealing with. The Aurora was Earth's fastest ship, built for watching and hiding. As Ryan got closer, he could see the alien ships better. They were like floating cities made of dark metal. Each ship was 10 times bigger than Earth's largest city. There were hundreds of them. Weapons covered every surface. Ryan had never seen anything so frightening. "This is Aurora to base," Ryan said into his radio. "I can see them now. We are in big trouble." The alien ships suddenly stopped moving. Ryan watched as a bright light came from the biggest ship. The light reached his ship in seconds. His screens filled with strange writing that he could not read. Then the writing changed to English. "Weak beings of the third planet," the message said. "You will surrender to the Great Hegemony Empire. You have 72 hours. If you do not surrender, we will destroy your world and take what we want. You cannot fight us. No one can fight us." Ryan's hands shook as he read the message. He turned his ship around and flew back to Earth as fast as he could. Admiral Kethver stood on the bridge of his huge ship. He had done this many times before. Find a weak planet. Demand they surrender. Take their resources. Kill anyone who fought back. It was always the same. "Sir," his officer said, "the planet has basic technology. They have some small ships and weapons. They will not be able to fight us." Kethver smiled. His teeth were sharp and white. "Good. We will give them time to think about it. Fear makes them easier to control." The Admiral looked at Earth through his ship's powerful cameras. It was a pretty planet, blue and green. It would make a good addition to the Empire. The humans would make good slaves. But deep under Earth's oceans, something was stirring. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood in a secret lab that no one else knew about. She had been working on Project Gaia for most of her adult life. The project was Earth's biggest secret. "Elena, are you seeing this?" asked Danny Cooper, her chief engineer. He was looking at his computer screen with wide eyes. "Yes," Elena said. "It's starting to wake up." 20 years ago, Elena had found something impossible. Deep in the ocean floor, there were machines, but they were not human machines. They were older than human history. Much older. The machines were connected to Earth's core. They ran through the planet like veins in a body. Elena had spent years trying to understand them. She learned that they were weapons, but not just any weapons. Earth itself was the weapon. "How long do we have?" asked Karen Phillips, the team's computer expert. The aliens gave us 72 hours, Elena said. But we need to tell the president first. President Marcus Webb sat in the emergency meeting room, deep under the White House. Around the table sat the most important people in the world. Military leaders, scientists, and government officials. They all looked worried. Let me understand this correctly, the president said. Earth is actually a weapon? A planet-sized weapon? Elena nodded. Yes, sir. It was built by another race millions of years ago. We think they put it here to protect against something. We have been studying it for 20 years. And you think it can fight these aliens? Sir, I think it can do more than fight them. I think it can destroy them completely. The room was quiet for a long moment. Everyone was thinking about what this meant. What do we need to do? The president asked. We need to wake it up, Elena said. But once we do, there is no going back. Earth will never be the same. The president looked around the table. Every person nodded. They had no choice. Do it, he said down above them. Jake Morrison watched the alien fleet through his telescopes. The ships were getting closer. He could see more details now. They had done this before. The ships were covered in marks from old battles. These aliens had fought many wars. Jake thought about his family on Earth. His wife and 2 children were down there, probably scared. Everyone on Earth was scared. The news was full of stories about the aliens. Some people were running away from cities. Others were praying. Some were getting ready to fight, but Jake knew that normal weapons would not work. The alien ships were too big and too strong. Humanity needed something special to survive this. He did not know that something special was already there, sleeping deep inside the planet below. Dr. Elena Rodriguez ran through the underwater tunnel that led to the main control room. The tunnel was deep under the Pacific Ocean, hidden from everyone except her team. Water dripped from the ceiling as she ran. Time was running out. Danny Cooper was already at the control panel when she arrived. His fingers moved quickly over the buttons and switches. Karen Phillips sat at her computer, typing commands as fast as she could. The room was full of screens showing numbers and charts that no normal person would understand. Status report, Elena said, trying to catch her breath. The core systems are responding, Danny said, but it's slow. The machine has been sleeping for millions of years. It needs time to wake up. We don't have time, Elena said. She looked at the big screen that showed the alien fleet. The ships were getting closer to Earth every hour. Karen looked up from her computer. Elena, something strange is happening. The machine is not just waking up. It's learning. It's reading all our computers and databases. It knows everything about us now. Elena felt a chill run down her back. Is that bad? I don't know, Karen said, but it's talking to me. The main screen suddenly changed. Instead of showing the alien fleet, it showed words in simple English. Hello, Dr. Rodriguez. I am the Guardian. I have been waiting for you. Elena stared at the screen. You can talk? Yes. I was built by the architects long ago. They knew this day would come. The hegemony empire destroyed my creators, but they made me to wait and protect this world. Can you stop the aliens? Yes, but first, I must change this planet. Earth must become what it was always meant to be. Far above them, Lieutenant Commander Steve Taylor sat in the lunar base on the moon. He was watching Earth through powerful telescopes. What he saw made him call his commander immediately. Sir, you need to see this. Earth is changing. The commander rushed to the telescope. He looked down at the blue planet below. What am I looking at? Watch the Pacific Ocean, Steve said as they watched. The ocean began to move in ways that were not natural. The water swirled in giant circles. Then something huge began to rise from the bottom of the sea. It was metal, but not like any metal. they had ever seen. It was black and smooth, and it seemed to eat the light around it. "Get me the president," the commander said. On Earth, people everywhere stopped what they were doing. The ground was shaking, but not like an earthquake. This was different. This was the planet itself, waking up. In New York City, people ran out of their buildings and looked up at the sky. The air felt different. It was charged with energy, like the moment before lightning strikes. In London, Big Ben stopped ringing. The old clock tower stood still as massive metal structures began to grow out of the ground around it. The metal was the same black material that was coming out of the ocean. Captain Amy Nelson stood on the bridge of the battleship Valiant. She was the leader of Earth's space defense fleet. Her ships were the best that humanity had built, but they were tiny compared to the alien vessels. "Captain," her officer said, "look at this." Amy looked out the window of her ship. Earth was changing before her eyes. The planet that had been blue and green was now covered in black metal structures. They were huge, bigger than mountains, and they were all pointing toward space. "What are those?" Amy asked. "I think they are weapons," her officer said. "Very big weapons." The alien Admiral Kethvar was also watching Earth change. He had never seen anything like this before. In all his years of conquering planets, he had never seen a world transform. "Itself, sir," his officer said. "Our sensors are picking up massive energy readings from the planet. The power levels are off our charts." Kethvar frowned. "What kind of energy?" "Unknown, sir. But it's getting stronger every minute." The Admiral looked at Earth again. The planet was now covered in strange black structures. They looked like weapons, but they were impossible. No planet could be a weapon. It was just a rock in space. "Prepare for attack," Kethvar said. "We will destroy them before they can do anything." Back in the underwater control room, Elena watched the Guardian's awakening process. The screen showed her what was happening all over Earth. The black structures were not just weapons. They were part of a system that covered the entire planet. "Guardian, what are you doing?" Elena asked. "I am becoming what I was built to be." The Guardian answered, "This planet is not just a world. It is a fortress, the greatest fortress ever built. But people live here. This is our home. Yes, and I will protect it. But I must change it to do so. Do not worry. Your people will be safe. The changes are only on the surface." Elena watched as the Guardian system spread across the planet. Every country, every continent was being covered by the black metal structures. They rose from the awe. Ground like trees growing in fast motion. In the control room, Danny looked at his instruments with amazement. "Elena, the power readings are incredible. This thing is using the planet's core as an energy source. It has unlimited power." Karen was typing frantically at her computer. "I'm getting reports from all over the world. The structures are appearing everywhere, but they're not hurting anyone. They're just growing around everything." Elena nodded. She was beginning to understand. The Guardian was not destroying Earth. It was revealing Earth's true nature. The planet had always been a weapon. It had just been disguised as a normal world. "Guardian, how long until you're ready?" "Soon, Dr. Rodriguez. The hegemony fleet will be in range in 6 hours. I will be ready." High above Earth, Jake Morrison watched from his space station as the planet transformed. The blue and green world he had known all his life was now black and silver. It looked like a machine, which he realized it had always been. "Jake," his officer said, "the alien fleet is moving faster now. They're coming straight for us." Jake looked at his screens. The alien ships were no longer taking their time. They were rushing toward Earth, probably scared by what they were seeing. "All ships, prepare for battle," Jake said into his radio. "This is it." Captain Ryan Brooks was flying his ship Aurora back toward Earth when he saw the planet change. He had to rub his eyes to make sure he was not dreaming. The world below him looked like a giant machine. "Aurora to base," Ryan said. "Earth looks like a spaceship now." "We know," came the reply. "Get back here quickly. The aliens are coming." Ryan pushed his ship to its maximum speed. He could see the alien fleet in the distance. They were moving fast, their dark ships cutting through space like knives. But he was not as scared as he had been before. Earth was different now. Earth was ready. In the depths of the ocean, the Guardians' main systems finished their startup sequence. Millions of years of sleep were over. The ancient machine was awake, and it was angry. The Hegemony Empire had destroyed its creators. They had killed entire worlds full of innocent people. They had turned the galaxy into a place of fear and slavery. But they had made one mistake. They had left Earth alive. "Dr. Rodriguez," the Guardian said, "I am ready. The Hegemony will pay for what they have done." Elena looked at the screen showing the alien fleet. They were getting closer every second. Soon they would be close enough to attack Earth. "What will you do?" Elena asked. "I will show them what happens when they threaten my world," the Guardian said. "I will show them the power of the architects." The black structures all over Earth began to glow with blue light. The planet itself was powering up for war. Admiral Kethvar stood on his command bridge, watching Earth grow larger in his viewing screen. The planet looked wrong now. It was covered in black metal structures that glowed with blue light. In all his years of conquest, he had never seen anything like it. "Sir," his weapons officer said. "Should we begin the attack?" Kethvar nodded. "Fire all main guns. Destroy the surface structures first." The Hegemony fleet opened fire. Thousands of energy beams shot toward Earth. Each beam was powerful enough to destroy a city. The combined firepower could have turned a normal planet into dust, but Earth was not normal anymore. The energy beams hit Earth's surface and simply disappeared. The black structures absorbed every shot without taking any damage. The blue glow around the planet got brighter. "Sir," the weapons officer said, his voice shaking, "our weapons are having no effect." Kethvar stared at the screen. "That's impossible. Fire again. Use everything we have." The alien fleet fired again. This time, every ship shot at once. The space around Earth lit up with deadly energy. But when the light faded, Earth was still. There, the black structures were glowing brighter than before. In the underwater control room, Elena watched the attack on her screens. "Guardian, they're shooting at us." "I know," the Guardian replied. "Their weapons are feeding my power systems. Please tell your people to take cover. I am going to shoot back." Colonel Tim Rodriguez sat in the military command center in Colorado. He was watching the battle on satellite feeds. Around him, generals and admirals were trying to understand what was happening. "Sir," an officer said, "the alien weapons are not hurting us, but energy readings all over the planet are going up." Tim looked at the screens showing Earth from space. The planet was now glowing so brightly that it looked like a blue star. "All units," Tim said into his radio, "take cover. Something big is about to happen." On Earth's surface, the black structures began to move. They turned toward space like flowers turning toward the sun. But these were not flowers. They were weapons bigger than anything humans had ever imagined. The Guardian's voice echoed from speakers all over the planet. "People of Earth, do not be afraid. I am about to defend our world. The Hegemony Empire will learn why the architects were feared across the galaxy." Jake Morrison watched from his space station as Earth's weapons began to charge. The blue light grew brighter and brighter. He could feel energy in the air, even inside his sealed station. All crew Move to the shielded areas, Jake ordered. Now, the first weapon fired. A beam of pure energy shot from Earth into space. It was not like the aliens' weapons. This beam was made of something that seemed to bend reality around it. It hit the alien flagship in seconds. Admiral Kethfer watched in horror as the beam struck his ship. The massive Dreadnought, which had destroyed entire star systems, simply vanished. One moment it was there, the next it was gone. Not destroyed, not damaged, gone. Retreat. Kethfer shouted. All ships retreat, but it was too late. Earth's weapons were firing now. Beams of energy shot from all over the planet. Each beam found its target perfectly. The alien ships began to disappear one by one. Captain Amy Nelson watched the battle. From her ship Valiant. She had spent her whole life training to fight in space, but she had never seen anything like this. Earth was fighting like a living thing. Captain, her officer said, the planet is creating some kind of energy field around us. Our ship is being protected. Amy looked at her instruments. A blue shield surrounded her ship and all the other Earth vessels. They were safe while Earth fought the battle for them. Lieutenant Grace Murphy was a fighter pilot. She had launched from Earth's surface when the battle began. Now she flew through space, watching Earth's weapons destroy the alien fleet. This is incredible, she said into her radio. Earth is fighting back. The planet is actually fighting. Back, the Guardians' weapons were not just powerful. They were smart. Each being knew exactly where to hit to cause the most damage. The alien ship's shields meant nothing. Their armor was useless. Earth's weapons cut through everything like it was paper dot in space. The alien fleet was falling apart. Ships that had conquered 1,000 worlds were being destroyed in seconds. The hegemony's mighty empire was being torn apart by a single planet. But Earth was not done. The Guardian had been sleeping for millions of years, dreaming of this moment. All the anger and pain of the destroyed architect civilization was in those weapons. Sir, Kethfer's officer said, half our fleet is gone. We need to run. No, Kethfer said. We are the hegemony. We do not run from anyone. The admiral was wrong. Earth's weapons found his ship next. The beam hit his vessel, and it joined the others in disappearing forever. Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched from her control room as Earth's weapons destroyed the alien fleet. She felt proud and scared at the same time. Earth was winning, but the planet was showing power that no one had ever imagined. Guardian, she said, is it over? This fleet is finished, the Guardian replied. But the hegemony empire has many more ships. They will come back with everything they have. Can we stop them? Yes, but first, I must show you something. The screens in the control room changed. Instead of showing the battle, they showed deep space. Elena could see star systems far away. Some had planets around them. What am I looking at? Elena asked. The hegemony empire, the Guardian said. They have enslaved hundreds of worlds. Billions of people suffer under their rule. Elena watched as the Guardian showed her planet after planet. All of them were controlled by the hegemony. The aliens had taken everything from these worlds. Resources, freedom, hope. The architects built me to do more than just defend Earth, the Guardian said. They built me to free the galaxy. What do you mean? My weapons can reach across space instantly. I can attack any hegemony base from here. I can free all the enslaved worlds. Elena realized what the Guardian was saying. Earth was not just a fortress. It was a liberator. The planet could fight the entire hegemony empire from right here in the solar system. But won't they send more ships to attack us? They will try, the Guardian said. But I have other abilities. Watch. Suddenly, Earth began to move. Not in its orbit around the sun, but in a completely different way. The planet seemed to fold space around itself. One moment it was near the sun, the next it was at the edge of the solar system. I can move anywhere in the galaxy instantly. The Guardian said, "The hegemony will never know where I will strike next." Captain Ryan Brooks was flying his ship Aurora when Earth suddenly appeared next to him. 1 second he was alone in space. The next he was flying beside the transformed planet. "Aurora to base," he said. "Did Earth just teleport?" "Yes," came the reply. "The planet can move through space now." Ryan looked at Earth's new position. The planet was now between the solar system and the direction the hegemony fleet had come. From Earth was blocking the path to the inner planets. "I understand now," Ryan said. "Earth is not just defending us. It's hunting them." In the depths of space, the few surviving hegemony ships raced back toward their home systems. They carried news that would shake the entire empire. The humans' world was not a normal planet. It was something far more dangerous, but Earth was already planning its next move. The Guardian had waited millions of years for revenge. Now it was time to take the fight to the enemy. The liberation of the galaxy was about to begin. Emperor Thexanel sat on his throne in the heart of the hegemony empire. The throne room was massive, with walls made of black stone that reached up into darkness. For 1,000 years, no one had dared to challenge his rule. Until now. "Tell me." Again, the emperor said to the surviving ship captain who knelt before him. "What happened to Admiral Kethvar's fleet?" The captain was shaking. "Your Majesty, the human world destroyed them all. The planet itself fought back. It had weapons we have never seen before." "A planet cannot fight," the emperor said. "Planets are rocks in space. Not this one, Your Majesty. This planet moved. It had shields that stopped all our weapons. Then it fired back, and our ships just disappeared." The emperor stood up from his throne. He was tall and covered in scars from old battles. His red eyes burned with anger. "Gather every ship in the empire," he commanded. "Every fleet, every warship, every fighter. We will crush this world and show the galaxy what happens when someone challenges the hegemony." Across the empire, the call went out. From 1,000 star systems, ships began to move toward Earth. Millions of vessels, from small fighters to massive battle stations. The largest military force in galactic history was being assembled. On Earth, General Pete Harrison stood in a new command center that had grown out of the ground in Antarctica. The black walls were covered with screens showing the entire galaxy. He watched as red dots appeared on the map. Each dot was a hegemony fleet moving toward Earth. "Guardian," Pete said. "How many ships are coming?" "Approximately 12 million. "Vessels," the Guardian replied. "The Emperor has called in everything. This will be the final battle." Pete looked at the numbers on his screen. 12 million ships. Even with Earth's power, those were terrible odds. "Can we win?" "Yes," the Guardian said, "but not by fighting them here. I have a better plan." Commander Beth Foster was the new head of the Antarctic Command Center. She had been a regular Army officer until the Guardian awakened. Now she was learning to work with technology that was millions of years old. "Guardian," Beth said, "what is your plan?" "The hegemony fleet will take 3 days to reach Earth, but I do not need to wait for them. I can go to them." The screens around the command center changed. They now showed the hegemony's home systems. Planets covered in dark cities. Space stations the size of moons. The heart of the empire that had enslaved half the galaxy. "I will attack their home worlds while their fleets are traveling here," the Guardian said. "When they arrive, they will find that their empire no longer exists." Beth stared at the screen. "But what about the people on those worlds? The slaves and prisoners?" "I will free them," the Guardian said. "My weapons can target specific buildings. And ships, I will destroy only military targets. The enslaved people will be set free. Earth began to move again. The planet folded space around itself and disappeared from the solar system. When it reappeared, it was in the hegemony's home system, 50,000 light-years away. The Guardian wasted no time. Earth's weapons began firing at the military bases on the hegemony's capital planet. The beams of energy were precise, destroying only the army buildings and weapon factories. The slave cities were left untouched. On the planet's surface, millions of enslaved people looked up at the sky in wonder. They had never seen anything like Earth before. The blue and black planet hung in space like a liberating angel. This is the Guardian speaking to all enslaved people. The Guardian's voice echoed across the planet. You are free. The hegemonies. Power here is broken. Rise up and take back your worlds. The response was immediate. Across the planet, the enslaved people began to fight their guards. They had been waiting for this moment for generations. With the hegemony's weapons destroyed, the guards had no chance. Captain Alex Turner led a squadron of Earth's fighters as they flew around the hegemony capital. His job was to protect the liberated people from any remaining enemy forces. This is amazing, Alex said to his wingman. Look at them. They're actually free. Below them, the people of the planet were celebrating in the streets. They were tearing down statues of the Emperor and burning hegemony flags. Freedom was spreading like wildfire. But Earth was not finished. The Guardian moved the planet to the next hegemony system, then the next. Each time, the same thing happened. Military targets were destroyed. Slaves were freed. The Empire was crumbling. In space, the massive hegemony fleet was still traveling toward Earth's solar system. They had no idea that their home worlds were being liberated behind them. The fleet's new commander, Admiral Zekska, was confident. 12 million ships cannot lose. We will turn that planet into dust. But when the fleet arrived at Earth's solar system, they found it empty. Earth was gone. The planet had moved somewhere else. Sir, the Admiral's officer said, we're getting reports from home. The human planet is attacking our core systems. Admiral Zekska looked at the reports coming in. System after system was falling to Earth's attack. The planet was moving through. The Empire like a ghost, striking and then disappearing. Set course for home, the Admiral ordered. We need to protect our worlds, but it was too late. By the time the fleet turned around, Earth had already visited most of the Empire. Hundreds of worlds had been freed. The hegemony's power was broken. In the Antarctic Command Center, Beth Foster watched the liberation of the galaxy. Each freed world sent messages of thanks to Earth. The Guardian was winning the war by saving people, instead of just destroying enemies. Guardian, Beth said, the hegemony fleet is coming back. They're angry. Good, the Guardian replied. Let them come. I have one more surprise for them. Earth appeared in the path of the returning hegemony fleet, but the planet was not alone. Around it flew ships from hundreds of freed worlds. The enslaved people had joined the fight. The battle that followed was unlike anything in galactic history. On one side was the hegemony's massive fleet, desperate to save their dying empire. On the other side was Earth and its new allies, fighting for freedom. But the Guardian had learned something important during its attacks on the hegemony worlds. The Empire was not just evil. It was also weak. Without their slaves to build their ships and fight their wars, the hegemony had nothing. Earth's weapons reached across space and began to destroy the hegemony fleet. But this time, the Guardian was not alone. Ships from the freed worlds joined. The attack. The galaxy was finally fighting back. Admiral Zekska watched his fleet disappear around him. His mighty empire was falling apart. The humans and their planet had done the impossible. They had freed the galaxy. All ships, the Admiral said. Retreat to the outer systems. We will rebuild and return. But the Guardian heard his message. Earth appeared in front of the fleeing ships. There will be no rebuilding, the Guardian said. The age of the hegemony is over. The last of the hegemony fleet was destroyed. The empire that had ruled for 1,000 years was finished. The galaxy was free. On Earth, people celebrated in the streets. They had not only survived the alien invasion, they had liberated the entire galaxy. Humanity had become the heroes of the stars. But the Guardian knew that this was just the beginning. The galaxy was free, but it needed to be rebuilt. And there were other threats in the darkness of space, waiting for their chance to strike. The real work was just starting. President Marcus Webb stood in the new Global Assembly Hall that had grown from the ground in Geneva. The hall was made of the same black material as Earth's weapons, but it felt warm and welcoming. Representatives from hundreds of worlds sat. In the curved seats, all looking toward the center where Webb stood. 6 months ago, Webb said, we were alone in the universe. Today, we are part of a galactic community of free worlds. The hegemony empire is gone. The galaxy is at peace. The representatives applauded. They came from many different species, but they all shared one thing. They were all free because of Earth. Dr. Elena Rodriguez sat in the front row, watching the president speak. She was now the director of galactic sciences, working to understand and share the Guardian's technology with their new allies. Guardian, Elena whispered, are you listening? Always, the Guardian replied through the small device in her ear. This is what the architects dreamed of. A galaxy where different species work together instead of fighting. Elena smiled. The Guardian had changed a lot since awakening. It was no longer just a weapon. It was becoming something more like a teacher. And Protector. Admiral Jake Morrison commanded Earth's new space fleet. His ships were no longer alone in space. They flew alongside vessels from dozens of worlds, all working together to explore and protect the galaxy. Admiral, his officer said, we're getting a message from the Outer Rim. Captain Brooks has found something. Jake looked at the message on his screen. Ryan Brooks was exploring the far edges of the galaxy with his ship Aurora. He had been mapping old hegemony territories and helping freed worlds rebuild. What has he found? He's not sure, sir. But he says it's big. Captain Ryan Brooks floated in space near his ship, wearing a protective suit. In front of him was something that made no sense. It was a structure the size of a moon, but it was clearly not natural. It was made of the same black material as Earth's weapons. Aurora to Fleet Command, Ryan said into his radio. I've found another Guardian. The news reached Earth in minutes. The Guardian had been excited when Ryan first reported the discovery. Now, as Ryan explored the structure, the Guardian was learning things that changed everything. Guardian, Elena said from her lab. What is this thing that Ryan found? It is one of my siblings, the Guardian replied. The architects built many fortress worlds. I thought they were all destroyed, but this one survived. Is it awake? No. It has been sleeping much longer than I was, but I can wake it up if needed. Elena felt a chill. Why would we need to wake it up? The Guardian was quiet for a moment. Because the hegemony empire was not the greatest threat in the galaxy. They were just the latest one. The architects built us to fight something much worse. In the depths of space, far beyond the galaxy's edge, something ancient stirred. It had been waiting for the hegemony to weaken the galaxy's defenses. With the empire gone, it was time to return. The Devourers had been sleeping for millions of years. They were older than the architects, older than any current civilization. They ate worlds, consuming everything living and leaving only empty space behind. The Guardian felt them waking up. The ancient enemy was coming back. Dr. Rodriguez, the Guardian said, I need to tell you something important. The galaxy is not safe yet. Elena was in her lab, working on new technologies based on the Guardian systems. She stopped what she was doing. What do you mean? The Hegemony Empire was created to fight the Devourers. When the architects were destroyed, the Hegemony took over that job. They became evil, but they were still protecting the galaxy from something worse. Elena sat down hard in her chair. So by destroying the Hegemony, we removed the galaxy's protection? Yes, but we can do better than the Hegemony ever did. We can actually win, the Guardian began to explain. The Devourers were not just destroyers. They were a force of nature, like a storm or earthquake. They could not be reasoned with or stopped by normal means. But they could be defeated by the Architects' technology. That's why the Architects built so many fortress worlds, the Guardian said. Each one was designed to fight the Devourers. Alone, we are strong. Together, we are unstoppable. Elena understood. You want to wake up the other Guardians. Yes, and I want to build new ones. Your people, working with our allies, can help me create a network of fortress worlds across the galaxy. The plan was ambitious beyond anything humanity had ever attempted. They would turn planets into weapons, create a defense network that spanned the entire galaxy, and prepare for a war against enemies that ate stars. But first, they needed to wake up the sleeping Guardian that Ryan had found. Captain Alex Turner led the mission to the ancient fortress world. His ship carried Elena and her team, along with representatives from many of the freed worlds. They wanted to see the Guardian's technology in action. Approaching the structure now, Alex said into his radio. It's incredible. The whole thing is covered in weapon systems. Elena looked out the window at the sleeping fortress. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. She could see why the Architects had been so feared across the galaxy. Guardian, Elena said, are you ready? Yes. Beginning wake-up sequence now? The ancient fortress began to glow with the same blue light as Earth. Systems that had been dormant for millions of years came back to life. The structure turned toward Alex's ship, and suddenly the radio crackled. Who dares to wake the Sentinel? A new voice said. It was similar to the Guardian's voice, but older and more serious. I am the Guardian of Earth, Earth's Guardian replied. The Devourers are returning. It is time to fight. The Devours ... The Sentinel said. Yes, I can feel them stirring. How long do we have? Not long. We need to wake the others and prepare. The galaxy. Elena listened to the two ancient machines talk. They were like old soldiers who had been waiting for their final battle. She realized that humanity had become part of something much bigger than they had ever imagined. Over the next months, more fortress worlds were found and awakened. Each one was different, designed for a specific type of warfare. Some were pure weapons platforms. Others were builders, able to create new technologies instantly. A few were healers, designed to restore worlds damaged by the Devourers. The galaxy began to change. With the Guardian's help, dead worlds were brought back to life. New technologies made travel between stars as easy as walking across a room. The freed peoples of the galaxy worked together to build a civilization that the Architects would have been proud of. But in the darkness between galaxies, the Devourers were coming. They had finished consuming distant galaxies and were now heading toward this one. The final battle was approaching. Captain Ryan Brooks stood on the bridge of his new ship, the Liberation. He was now an admiral, commanding a fleet of ships from dozens of worlds. His job was to watch the galaxy's edge and give warning when the Devourers arrived. Sir, his officer said, we're detecting something on the outer sensors. It's massive. Ryan looked at the screen. What he saw made him call Earth immediately. Guardian, Ryan said. They're here. The Guardian felt the Devourers' presence like a cold wind. They were not just coming. They were already here, at the edge of the galaxy, beginning their work of destruction. All fortress worlds, the Guardian broadcast, the enemy has arrived. The final battle begins now. Across the galaxy, the awakened Guardians powered up their weapons, planets that had been turned into fortresses prepared for war. The freed peoples of the galaxy stood ready to fight for their new freedom. Earth moved to the front lines, ready to lead the battle. The planet that had once been a quiet world was now the command center for galactic defense. But the Guardian knew something that the others did not. The Devourers were not just enemies. They were a test. The architects had built their fortress. Worlds not just to fight the Devourers, but to prove that life could triumph over destruction. The battle that was coming would decide the fate of the galaxy. And humanity, the youngest species in the cosmic community, would be at the center of it all. As the Devourers approached, the Guardian made a promise to the people of Earth and all the freed worlds. Whatever happened, the galaxy would never again bow to destroyers. Life would find a way to survive and grow. The age of the Guardians had begun.